Okay, let's try again. Sorry if you're catching this. This is, I guess, part 3 of this ridiculous stream where I have terrible internet. So what I was saying before I was interrupted, and I actually don't know how much I was getting cut off here, is when we're uploading Docker images. Interesting. We'll get to that in a second. When we're uploading Docker images, it's trying to upload only the Delta, and I was trying to prove that. So we're going over to here and looking at the journal image, and we should be able to see that the actual builds themselves, not builds, tags, every time we're building, we're getting a new tag. And you can see it's pretty compressed, but I think it's uploading both of them for AMD and ARM. I think to simplify things, what I might do is turn off the ARM stuff, because most of the time we're not going to be doing something locally. Thanks for letting me know, John. I had no idea it was offline. I'm pretty frustrated. I think my next piece of gear that I need to purchase for the stream, I've got like my big green screen back here. I'm pretty set on the pieces that I need. I think I'm going to get some like repeaters for the house, because I've already talked about how it's going to be hard or impossible to get a wired connection down here, but I think the best I can manage is get some repeater. Let's do this. Let's make sure we turn off ARM64 and only use this when needed for testing. And even then, I don't know, we might just build that with Docker and it'll build an ARM64 image. I don't know that we'll ever need this. So I'm going to go out and say, you know what, forget it. We're not going to need that. Okay, let's look back though at what happened with the deploy, because it didn't go. And something complained here, or it complained at the end. I don't know if something has failed with Kamal and I need to like go and monkey with some stuff on the other side, because it's making a statement that I don't believe. So we got through all the image uploading, did that in a little over a minute. This should get less, there should be less work next time because we're not going to be uploading multiple images. And then it ran through this and ran through this. Failed to boot web, so it's not going to boot anything else. It's releasing the lock. Exception while executing on host. The secret admin URL token path not found in Kamal secrets. Oh, maybe I named it the wrong thing in the other place too. Yes, probably so. So it's admin URL path token. So token, yep, I did the same thing here. Path token. Dummy. Okay. We'll say keep cleaning up secrets. And we're going to try Kamal setup again. Hopefully it doesn't take down the network this time. Kamal setup. See, the network monitor is an interesting aspect of this to see how good or bad it does. So data is still going. There's very little, there's like nothing in this image. There's no image change, just one config file. So this should be, with any luck, very short, especially because we're only needing to do one image. Oh, good. That was a lot faster. Now it's running through this all. Now what? Ah, good grief. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Okay, we don't need this either. Getting tired of this. Ugh. More secrets cleanup. This is why I would have much have rather gone through and done some incremental changes, but we really couldn't. All right, so let's try Kamal setup again. And I think I've been committing because Kamal will not run on uncommitted stuff. Because remember, it's doing a like fresh checkout in a different directory to build the image. So if you want to have changes reflected in there, you have to commit it. So that, because it does it from a pristine clone. Pristine's not the word they use. What's the word they use? There's a name for it. One of these git commands at the top. Thought it was up here. Can't see it. Whatever. It was. I thought there was a more fancier name. Just not remembering it. So we're trying to let this run. I think it's still going to fail. And now it's not going to fail in a very logical way. Oh, cool. We're making a little progress, though. You can see it did try and so it created a database. It's not the database for the app, but there was no file in existence. So it didn't know it had to go create that. And so it managed to do that part. It still failed though. And I think the reason it failed is down to like a configuration problem. And this is where we get into, I got to compare it to my homeschool application. This one was a tricky one to find. It had to do with the way that the difference between these setups is that on Heroku, there was some setting that we were using that had to be set one way. And then when I ran it against Kamal proxy, it didn't like that configuration option. And so I needed to turn something off. I'm trying to remember what it was. I want to say it was the proxy stuff. So it's somewhere in this security section. Let's go compare the two. See if we can figure it out. So settings, we have a similar security section down here. Here it is. Oh, good. I put in a comment. And let's do a side-by-side comparison for all of these because I think that'll be important. So we've got both of them have CSRF cookie secure. It looks the same. There is HSTS includes subdomains is just set to true on this one. HSTS includes subdomains set to true. Good. So those match. HSTS preload. This is behind an environment variable. I think I don't know why I just set this to true here. Maybe I figured that's just always the case. And there's a time on this one, time on that one, so that's good. I'm getting out of order on which ones to do these. Okay. This currently says proxy SSL header. I think is that one different? Proxy, there it is. Secure proxy SSL header. No, that's the same. I know there's a difference in one of these. Like, very positive about it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, the health check was failing with a 301 to HTTP. So it was, okay. So there's some secure middleware in Django here. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to say if any request comes in as an HTTP request, do an automatic redirect. But the health check from Kamal proxy to the app was not going over HTTPS. And so what I'm doing is I'm trusting this layer in ways that I wasn't with Heroku. What Heroku would do is that when its load balancer was calling into the app or whatever health check it was doing that over a secure connection. So there was no need for this. But since I know the setup for this proxy and know that I know also other things about this network configuration for Docker here, this Kamal, what it does is it runs everything on a private Docker network. So the actual application container will not be able to connect to the outside world. It must go through the Kamal proxy. Because of that, we can confidently say that we don't need to have on this SSL redirect thing. So we're going to take this and we're going to take that out and make, because it's, look what it's defaulting to true. And we explicitly wanted to set it to false here. So that is probably what was the thing that was failing. I'm like 99% sure about it. And then to pair that, we need to put this security warning. It's gonna complain and say like, hey man, you're not doing this check. What are you doing? You're doing it wrong. So Django is trying to do its best to make sure that it's secure by default, but you still have to use your brain and can think and reason about something and say like, actually, this is a safe thing to do because I know more about the context of how this application is running. So we are going to make that change, and I think that should be, with any luck, that's the thing that was holding this back from getting an actual healthy response. We're about to find out though if I got it or not. So let's do that. I think there was there another setting here? No? Okay. So we can commit this. Let's see, what should we say? Set secure SSL redirect to false because we have more trust in operating environment. Probably wordy, but whatever. We'll just say we trust. Whoops. We trust the operating environment. Okay. There was probably there's something in here. I haven't pushed any of this up, so there could be things that I've been breaking with the test suite along the way. Don't know yet. Okay, so let's try again. We're just keeping on this path until we get the app up and running. This will be in a state where if this works, we'll have a database that is technically accessible, and that's what I want to finish this tonight so that we don't have an app that has a database that somebody could, in theory, sign up for this other version of the site and have a bunch of weird stuff happen. I just want to avoid all that. So I'm hoping that we get the full process done tonight. I'm going a little bit slower than I wanted to because I hit a bunch of weird stuff with the network. So we're not quite as far along as I was hoping at this point. But we'll keep powering through and see how far we get. There shouldn't be a lot of change this time. It was an addition of a file, but yeah, there's not much there that has to change. So this should go pretty quickly if it's actually sending appropriately. Cool. All right, now we're back in Kamal. And I don't know that it actually gets the domain name stuff appropriately set up. Oh, you know what? The let's encrypt part's going to fail because we didn't do any DNS config changes. And I don't know if that's at the end or if they're going to let it pass and then we're just not going to, it's going to fail when we get there. Oh, look at that. Container is healthy. So we got the container is healthy. Once it did that, it should have also started the worker. So I don't necessarily see that. Do we not have the worker configured here? There's the worker. Huh. Is it running? Small SSH. Docker PS. Nope. Docker. Come on. Docker PS. You can see that we're running the proxy. And so these two images, it's the same image, but one's probably a different. We can't see the full command. That's a bummer. There's probably a Docker command that will let me see that full image. I don't know what it is though. That full command path. Docker. I don't know. What are commands here? Info something. Oh. Okay. Let's do this and then ask ChatGPT. Let's see. In Docker PS, the command column for a container getting cut off. How do I see the full command for that container? Okay. So we can inspect stuff. Inspect. We got to replace it with the container ID, which I think this one that's saying it's about a minute is going to be the worker. Yep, cool. So this is the command it ran. So we've got, this is our worker, this is our web processor, web process, and then this is the proxy that's running in front of it. Now, what can we test now? So the proxy should be running. We have this, but we haven't hooked up any DNS stuff. So this, what might have happened, and this is surprising that Kamal let this through. I'm surprised that we didn't get any complaints about Let's Encrypt. Like, I'm not sure why that was. Yeah, I frankly don't understand, and I don't feel like, well, I guess we could scan through these, but I don't exactly know what I'm looking for either for getting the DNS name stuff set up. So let's try hitting the IP address directly and see what happens. We have the IP. It's 178.128.132.8. Okay, so this is a 404. This is a 404 from Kamal Proxy. This is not from my browser. So this is telling me that Kamal Proxy is saying, like, I got your request, but you ain't it, so hit the road. And probably part of that is because I've got this configured to work through the host, so it doesn't know what to do right now, and it's not able to satisfy the request. So I think what we need to do is go and actually like hook up the DNS, and hopefully that won't take too long to propagate so that we can see some real requests there. And then if that's not working, then we can take a while to figure out the database stuff. Hey, the schooler, what is a SaaS? SaaS stands for software as a service. So it's anytime you go online to a website and you're going to pay for the service, is how most of those work out. Or the other thing you might be asking me is, what is the SaaS I'm building? In that case, I'm building a journaling application that people can store an online digital journal that works via email. So that's what we're building here. So, okay, got to go to the DNS stuff. Where is my DNS config? It's on Cloudflare, right? Cloudflare. Yeah. All right, I got to go to switch to secrets mode for a minute to log in. So apologies, it's going to take a second. So blanking out the screen, we're going to go to dash.cloudflare.com. I'm sure it's going to say, you're not logged in, and prompt me to do that. it is doing exactly that and giving me this checkbox to say, are you sure you're a human? I'm putting in my credentials, I'm verifying, logging in. I think I have a two-factor authentication on top of that, so it's going to take a minute to get that going. So 1 second here. Okay, so I've got my domain up, and it's been a while since I've been in this dashboard, so going to my DNS records. Okay. And I don't remember if I can show this configuration or not. So I'm just going to not. What I'm doing is I'm going to add a record. And I'm going to add a record and the record will be an A record. And I'm going to type in staging. And that's staging matches up with the host that I had defined in the configuration file. And then I'm going to add in directly the IP address that we just did. And so that's 178.128.132.8. And I'm going to tell it, so Cloudflare is telling me staging.journeyInbox points to 178.128.132.8 and has its traffic proxied through Cloudflare. I'm going to turn off the proxy bit because I feel like I ran into trouble with that last time I was in here, so I'm not going to mess with that. We're going to set the TTL to be auto for now. And then got to make sure that I actually save stuff because that has not saved in the past. I'm going to click a save button. And so now I have this A record. All right, so I'm going to close the Cloudflare dashboard so you don't see any of that stuff, and then bring this screen back. Okay. The tricky part about DNS is that it takes time to propagate. And so Cloudflare might be updated already, but if it's not, and if I try to do, so the command that I want to do should be dig staging.journeyinbox.com. That's what I want to run, but I don't want to run it yet because I want to give time for Cloudflare's name servers to actually start propagating the information before I attempt this. So dig is just a tool that is a DNS lookup utility. It gives you, so you can figure out, like, you know, what is the IP address of google.com. And it'll tell you, hey, here's, when you're trying to connect to google.com, here are its IP addresses that you connect to. I guess there are, what is that, 6 of them? I'm not sure how that, I don't exactly know how that works. If it's just you get connected to a random one, or if it's regional, I don't know. So I'm going to try it now and see if we do this, dig, and now staging.journeyinbox.com. Good. So we're getting a DNS response here. Now, what may also be true, well, I guess we haven't tried to go there in the browser. So let's go over here and let's try staging.journeyinbox.com. See what happens. Hey, look at that. That is the app, and it seems to be running. Don't know if we're missing anything. We haven't tried to sign in or anything. I don't want to try yet. This database is not real. We're going to replace it. The whole point was to show we now have the app on a different place. We will fix this, and we will point to, well, actually, I don't know what record type we're going to use. How do you, ooh, that's a good question. So let's prepare. So currently we have Journey Inbox, and it's just at this It doesn't have a staging thing in front of it. And the configuration for that is a CNAME, I think, that points journeyinbox.com to this. So let's see. Let's do this. With Cloudflare, come on, Matt, type Flare. How do I point a domain name? Wait, this is maybe a dumb question. Domain names can certainly point to a regular IP address. That's not a problem. I'm being dumb. I'm pretty sure I'm being dumb. Well, it's not a subdomain either. So how do I point a naked domain name, I think it's sometimes called, to an IP address? The root domain, an A record. @ sign. Forgot about that. So we're gonna have to set the @ sign to point to our IP address that we have. But we don't want to do that until we've made the configuration changes and Kamal is like ready to do this stuff. So what do we got here? Oh, we've got no changes. We're ready to push stuff up. So that's all there. So what's left? I think at this point with this migration stuff, I'm happy with the Kamal process. In fact, we've got a ticket over here, an issue. Why did I keep that? I don't know. Email sent, that's just like not present in the code. Okay, whatever. So let's close this issue. And we'll go back to the one that it's connected to. And it's now checked off. That's cool. So we're at the stage where we need to prepare the Postgres database. We have to go get the data from Heroku. And then get it into SQLite format, and then upload it, and then cut the DNS over. I had a whole process for this that I had in this cloud migration step. So I think what I'm going to do is reference this as a way to get this down, because my strategy, what was my strategy? Here's my strategy. So I'm essentially going to turn Heroku into like maintenance mode to start this process. I want to get to all the way to the end and verify that the app has moved. That would be, I would love to get to that point in this stream and just be like, yeah, that's a great way to end the year. Well, maybe I'll be streaming next week. I'm not sure. And actually just test this all out. So I want to turn that off so that there's no new data being written there, and then do all of these steps. Let's talk through a little bit here. There's going to be some weirdness to this. So we're going to we're going to use Heroku PG pull, which I think I documented up here. Yeah, Heroku PG pull. So I'm gonna have to like log into Heroku and get the data, and then I'm gonna use a Docker container to actually like connect to it appropriately. And then from the Docker container, I'm going to run a command to actually dump out the data to a file locally on my machine. That'll represent the whole production database as a JSON file. Then we can move on and switch this to then be SQLite. Then we have to create a file that's going to be run our migrations, do all of this stuff. One thing that's that I will have to do that I didn't didn't anticipate, they caught me by surprise when I migrated the other app, is that when you run the migrations, the migration system creates a content type record. But when you dump out the data using this dump data command, it's also going to dump out the content type records. So you run into like uniqueness clashes because the migration system wants to create them, but they also exist in this dump data file, and so they are in conflict with each other. So one of the steps I had to take was get in there and delete. After I run the migrations, I deleted the content types. Then I can load the data into the database. At that point, I will have like basically a prepared database. Then we make sure when the application stops, we get the database copied to the right place. We change the ownership. We boot the app to restart things. And then this was a specific step to my other app, but we can update, most of this will still apply. So if all of this goes well, by the end of this, we'll have moved all the data over. Everything else that's configured to connect to it is configured through domain name stuff. So SendGrid is still going to try and call journeyinbox.com at some webhook, but it won't even care that the actual like machine that's behind that has moved. So that all should be good. I have a way to validate. I'll be able to test this out because I have this on my I've got my emails here that I can actually test and make sure that something gets over there, and that will be a way to confirm that. And then we also need to like log in and test that the app works. So we can test and poke on the staging site a little bit once the data is live, and then update the DNS as a final step. Okay, hopefully that process made sense, but I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to start by logging in from the Heroku command line so that everything's authenticated. So I'm going to put on the secrets here. I'm typing in Heroku login, hopefully for the last time. And it's going to prompt me to open my browser, which I'm doing. It's sending me to a web page where I log in, and I need to put in my credentials. I need to put in my two-factor authentication, so I'm loading that up, and I'm typing that in at this moment. So it is logging me in, and it has logged me in over here, and is sharing my email address to the whole world. So I can't show that, but I'm going to try and get to the dashboard. Whoops, wrong dashboard. Dashboard.heroku.com, not Stripe. So Heroku dashboard is loading up, and I'm loading up going to the, can I show this? Yeah, I think I can. I'm going to show this. I'm going to have to bounce back and forth because I know that the next page is going to show my email address again. So I'm going to click this, and then I'm going to go to the settings page, and I think that I can go and there's like a maintenance toggle. I'll try and show that. So secrets, clicking journey inbox. It is taking me, loading that up. Yep, there's my email address for all the world to see, but thankfully the secrets thing is on. I am now clicking the settings page, and I've got my journey inbox stuff here. Going down, I can't even show this page because right above, the very next line above the maintenance toggle that I want to switch is my email address. So I'm not going to show that, but I'm just flipping a toggle button, and it's got a mode that says enabling maintenance mode will make your app unavailable. Are you sure? And I'm going to say yes, enable a maintenance mode. Okay, so maintenance mode is now on. I'm going to close the Heroku dashboard and bring back this screen so you can see me. So if we go to Journey Inbox at this point, we should get a message from Heroku and not my app. saying like this app is offline for maintenance. So with that, we can confidently say no data is writing to the database anymore. I really didn't expect anybody to write to the database, but there's always a chance that, you know, maybe you're watching and you're like, I want to sign up right now. Sorry, you can do that later. So next step, we've got Docker up and running. And I think the next step in our process is we're going to continue to follow. Where did it go? Harish Patel, hi, welcome. So we're going to follow this process. So I have confirmed the app is offline. We are going to clear Postgres Docker content. So do we have a Docker Compose file in here? We do. But look, right now it's only the web configuration. So we're going to go to the app. And going to come down to Docker Compose file. We've got this section here, which is going to use a Postgres image. So I'm going to set this and do this and Command C, go into my Docker Compose file. And actually, let's do that. Before we do that, let's say Docker Compose down, make sure nothing is running. Okay, there was a web container running apparently. So we're going to add now the database. And we're going to say Docker Compose up. Yes, thanks for those clarifications for each. That's correct. Ooh. Driver failed programming external connectivity on endpoint. Bind endpoint. Oh, we already have something. Dang it. What is running? Postgres from 2 months ago is running. Get out of here. Stop it. Docker Compose down. Resources still in use. Okay, that's weird. So I think I just have to stop it from here. What is it? Docker, not Docker remove. What's the Docker command for removing, stopping? Is it just stop and then a container image? Stop. That's just not it. Was that it? Was it that simple? Okay, I guess that was it. Okay, so we're going to do Docker Compose up. And all right, that's fine. I think we've got an old web image. All right, I don't want that. So shut up, web image, go away. This is just temporary. So we'll do Docker Compose up. And then I think we want to, can I just put it in detach? Yeah. We're going to put this in the background so that it's running, so we can run some other commands. So now we've got a database. Postgres database is running. And it's running at, it's running on the local host at port 5432. That's how we've exposed it. So returning back over here to the sequence that we had. Oh, come on now. Why are you jumping around like that? We need to do a PG pull. And this is where, so you can see how what this looks like. So I got to find out I always forget this part. Well, Tony, for this I'm using DigitalOcean for my containerized project. I don't know, I can't say that I have a strong preference though. It's just what the tool that I'm using for this one. There are plenty of good ones out there if you want to use, because you can run containers like everywhere, right? You can use it like Fly.io and those kind of places. Okay. What am I trying to do? We want to find the database, and I'm afraid, oh goodness. What are the PG commands? I want to list out the databases, but I want to make sure that there's nothing like sensitive in there. So I'm going to put on the secret screen for a minute. Sorry. We're going to do Heroku PGPS and seeing what's happening here. Nope, that wasn't it. Heroku PG info. And all right, so we've got, well, that can't be right. They name these things, and this one is just like database URL. It doesn't seem right. I'm trying to see, can I share this? Yes, I think. We're gonna find out. So there's database URL, and I thought that it was like, thought there'd be like a longer name that we could use, because you can see over here, like they would give us these long names, and maybe that's because I changed it. I didn't write down, how do I make sure that you can get this? So let's try this. Let's do this command. Heroku, we're gonna issue Heroku PG pull. And the reason I'm putting it in my local DB here is very intentional. The Postgres, like when it starts up, it's got other stuff running it from the database, the container image that runs. And I really just want like a fresh database. I just want my data like a plain database. So we're going to do this. And I think what we need to do is change where it says rows URL. I think we just need to change it to database URL. Database URL. Pulling. What password? What password are you talking about? Is it the local password? That ain't it. Boo. Aborting because of server version mismatch. What? Oh. Barish, I'm reading your comments here. Is there a question here? I don't know what you're asking. I see you've listed a bunch of things about using tools and a product name, but I don't see the line of thought there. So if you can add a question, I could maybe try to answer, but I'm not sure what you're trying to get at. Okay, so it looks like the version of Postgres we have here is PG version 15.8, but my homebrew version is 14. Well, that's disappointing. So we need a version of PG dump. So which PG dump is this? Oops, dump from homebrew. I thought that, did I not get a different version? Okay. Does, man, brew info Postgres. Is this gonna work? What I'm really afraid of is if I have to do a brew update and it has to get a bajillion things. That would definitely tank the stream. So it's certainly installed at 14. Okay, I'm gonna try it, and hopefully we don't regret this. Brew, actually, is it? Yeah, thanks, John. I always forget, is it update or upgrade? Appreciate it. PostgreSQL. Brew. Oh, okay. It is upgrade. That's okay. Apparently you and I just get just as confused, John. And my fear is like sometimes brew feels like a real roll of the dice. It's like you sometimes get like a world upgrade where it's got to update everything and gets these crazy, like a crazy number of dependencies. Like you can see, now we're getting open SSL. Gosh, I hope it doesn't have to compile that. Sigh. We'll see how long this takes. So, I mean, the encouraging part is that the PG pull command didn't seem like it did seem like we structured it correctly. It didn't complain about any URL part. It was going to the same. It wasn't complaining about the destination. I think we're using this Postgres image, so I assume that is 15. I don't know. We might have to specify that in the Docker file. But once we get the right version of PG dump, I suspect that it will go into there just fine. So we shall see. Please don't compile OpenSSL. Oh, good. It looks like all of these seem to be pre-built binaries. I don't even know why I had. Maybe I had Postgres 14 from the other time that I needed to do this migration. But I don't remember doing anything on this machine for that migration. So I'm not sure. I guess there's another big selling point for SQLite. The SQLite file format is like rock solid stable. So one of the downsides with Postgres is periodically you have to upgrade the database. I had to do that with my school desk application a couple of times. Oh man, I think we lost the bet here, and it's downloading the world. Okay, we'll see how many of these it has to get. Hopefully the dependency tree is not too big. Yeah, I guess, John, I didn't have any real issues with it, but it was another activity that I had to do and was periodically forced to do in order to like upgrade Heroku stacks, if I recall, or we said like you have to do this at this time because we're not going to support this anymore. And so by being on SQLite, I don't really have that fear ever because they commit to huge compatibility for their database files. And if I can just remove needing to update the update any of that related to the database, it seems like a nice thing. Oh man, we really lost on package updates here. So far, at least, it seems like there's not compilation needed. That is promising at the very minimum. And not having to compile. PG admin can be a pain. I don't think I had to mess with it that much. I think I guess maybe that's a credit to Heroku. It's like the operation of the database itself on Heroku was pretty hands off. I did get, over the course of the years that I ran my apps on Heroku, I got a couple of automated messages basically saying, we are taking down your database for some maintenance. You don't have a choice. It's like automated, and it'll be done soon. And generally it was. I had one that took a few hours though, which really bugged me. It's like, you know, I could have like told my customers or something. Or it seemed like the site was, it almost seemed like the site was corrupt. That was a little unnerving. But it came back. They had to move some stuff overnight. So it was I went to bed thinking like, ah, crap, my data is gone, and I don't know how I'm going to restore, or I'm going to have to restore from backup. And then I woke up, thankfully. Gosh, I definitely lost here. Like, it told me, okay, it lied, right? Or what? I wonder how this tree got formed, because it said we're going to be. What do we have to get? We have to get these dependencies. This IC4C, I don't know what that is. The CA certificate bundle, OpenSSL, KRB5, don't know what that is either. LZ4 and readline. And it got those things, and then it started installing them. But then what's this stuff? Why did it keep going? Why is it like, yeah, now I need all these other things? Upgrading, 32 dependents of upgraded form. Oh, so all the things that used one of these also had to be upgraded? Is that how that worked? Annoying. Especially annoying when it's slow. Which, that's not Homebrew's fault, that's my network's fault, but it's not how I want to be spending my time. And, okay, what are you doing? Why do I have... Ugh, this is... I don't need 4 versions of Python on this machine. I just didn't remove them after they were done. I was upgrading different to Python 3.13 and never cleared out the other ones. Okay. So once this is done, yeah, I did see SQLite got upgraded there too. That's just the software itself, though. I guess I was saying, like, with certain Postgres versions, I had to do like an actual database, like the data itself had to be upgraded. There was a structural change between some version of Postgres to another version of Postgres, and so I had to do an actual like dump and restore opera. There's some like sequence that I had to follow in order to move that over. So yes, you're correct that SQLite was upgraded itself, but the new version of SQLite, because they're so committed to backwards compatibility, means I don't have to touch the database file. They're going to handle that, or the file format is just so stable that they're like, we're not changing it. That's what I meant by upgrades there. So we'll pull this down. We need to use, I guess, let me see. I probably got rid of this, and yeah, I did. Cleared all this stuff out from the because I was done with it. I should have kept it. What was I looking for? So we will have this is what we'll set as database URL. And that way, when we do a manage shell command, it will go into that database, and we can, when we do a dump data or load data, it will operate on, I guess it's the dump data to go to the file, and then the load data stuff on the other side, we'll switch it over to use database URL, or we'll switch the actual settings file to use that db-dir stuff that I was talking about. And by the end of that, we should have an actual database file that is like the production ready thing to upload to the other site. I've got the actual droplet configured for, I think we set it for daily backups, so that file will be preserved daily, so that I'm not worried about losing any data from that regard as the backup mechanism. Worst case is I lose one day if something catastrophic happens, and I can apologize to the handful of customers that I have. And then they can resend their email and get everything back. Fine. Okay. Did it finish? Hey, it finished. So let's go back up and try this again, see if it'll actually load into Postgres. Postgres, that should be the password. Oh, come on. So now I gotta go, because that last command failed, so the other half must have tried to create it. We're gonna do docker compose down to destroy the DB database, and we'll do docker compose up and put it in the background with the -d option to detach it. And now that that's running, now we should be able to return to that Heroku command and do this and Postgres. Come on now. Killing me. Killing me, Smalls. I watched The Sandlot with my kids past year. I love that they now understand that reference. Great movie. Great fun family movie too, in my opinion. Which version of Postgres? This should be the new PG dump. Maybe I just need to like get a new shell. Yeah. All right. Let's just create a new shell. Assume that that's our problem. New shell. And let's do the Docker compose down again. And Docker compose up. Detached. I'll clean up the web thing later. Let's do the Heroku command. Postgres. Come on. Why are you saying that? I literally just upgraded that. Brew, you're killing me. Brew PostgreSQL. Oh, I bet it has 14 installed. What? Why? Y'all saw me upgrade it, right? Or do they only have 14 as the latest thing? I didn't actually pay attention to what version they said. No. Brew install PostgreSQL at 15. Do it. Give me a newer one. There it is. Sonic, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate that. All right, so we might have to do this like dependency dance again, because it might be like, hey, this version needs these version dependencies. And okay, I'm gonna do, just so I have as clean of an environment as I know of, we will, wait, I think I just, new tab over here, wrong place. That was gonna be really bad. I'm getting all messed up. New tab here. Can I do Postgres version? Will that work? What are you doing? Making me mad. Not really mad, but just like annoyed. I got stuff to do, man. Post. Why? Can I, okay, brew leaves. Okay, I am going to brew uninstall Postgres at 14. PostgreSQL at 14. So that's not even an option. Super. Got rid of some stuff along the way. Now, Postgres version. What? Did it like, was it a cask install that didn't go on my path? Something stupid? Brew info PostgreSQL. Should be at 15 now. No, that's not what I have installed. I just didn't remove that. Keg only. That's, yeah, I couldn't remember the term. Which means it is not symlinked because this is an alternate version of another homebrew. Oh, jeez. Okay. So All right, let's do this. I don't remember the state of this particular tab. I'm gonna put that on my path. Gonna get rid of this. Going to come over here. We will. I only need it for this one shell. I'm gonna take this chunk right here, copy it. So Docker compose down, Docker compose up with a -d, and then we will paste in Postgres 15, Postgres version. All right, now we've got, so now we should have the right PG dump. And let's go Heroku, PG pull, Postgres. Hey, all right, neat. Dumping a bunch of stuff. Here's all of my tables from the database. Indexes. I remember. So this is, you might be like, well, I don't know how you would be. I saw this and I'm like, oh crap. I was worried that my strategy wasn't going to work, because it's not encouraging when you see errors come out of your dump utility or any kind of utility. And kind of makes you wonder, like, did this work? But when I looked into this, you can see the errors all had to do this with this schema Heroku thing. And it just turned out that Heroku like added some stuff and then didn't like properly clean up their PG dump output. So basically what I learned was you can ignore this. So at this stage in time, we should have got that DB stuff in there. What we're going to do is I need to go into this env, and we're going to copy this line right here and set that as database URL. So I got to put this on secrets because I don't remember what is in here, so sorry. But I'm going in that file. I'm going to find the database URL. Currently, it's reading SQLite DB SQLite 3. So I'm switching it to the exact thing that I just copied that you all just saw, and that is now there. Okay, so I'm out of there, bringing this back, and at this point, I should be able to run uv run manage managed up high, and for the moment, we're going to say shell plus. And apparently it has to go get a bunch of packages that it hadn't updated. That's interesting. Oh, maybe it's because there's it detected a new interpreter. I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. This is the nice part about UV. If it notices that things have changed about the UV files that are there, so either PyProject TOML or UV lock, and your current virtual environment is not in sync with that, it will, when you run a UV command, be like, hey, let's go get that stuff. So that's what it's doing currently. And it'll be ready here in a moment, and then we'll finally run shell plus command. And what I want to do is see if I can find evidence that this is my actual database. So I'm going to do, I did shell plus so that I've got access to user. So let's do user.objects.count, and we should have a non-zero number here, which would indicate that, because remember, we started from a database that definitely had nothing, and then we did a PG, the PG pull, which should have pulled the database out, and we told it to go into that empty database, that totally empty database, and then we configured the app to like look at that formerly empty database. So if we do user objects.count, we get 31. Great. I have trust in that. We're going to do like a dump command here in a minute that should give me that I'm going to actually like inspect and see what kind of data is in there. I should at least see my own personal email address in there. So we'll take a look. I will take a look at that. I won't be able to show you that part. Let's go back to the set of steps though and wait for it to load because it was stupid last time. So that gets us here. We've got our database. Now, where does that leave us in the set of steps? We are at this point. So we've still got this pointed at Postgres. So what I'm going to do is, and I don't remember what this dumps out. I don't think it dumps out anything sensitive, but just in case, I'm going to put this on here. So I'm going to say uv run manage .py, and we'll say dump data -o and use production.json because well, let me run this first and see how it goes. That was so fast and there was nothing to show. Okay, so what am I doing? This was my strategy that worked pretty well for School Desk, and it was my mechanism for going from one type of database to another. I initially looked and said, hey, my initial plan was, let me take a raw Postgres dump file of the actual like insert statements and then convert all the syntax to work for a SQLite database. And then I would dump that in there. And when I was working on that plan, I was looking for tools that would do that. And it dawned on me that, hey, wait a minute, Django has database backends that are exactly for this purpose. Like the database backends know how to read kind of database agnostic data, which is from this dump data command, and it dumps that out into a JSON format that has no bearing on which particular database you use. Maybe that's not totally true for certain cases, I don't know, but it's certainly true for the cases that I care about. Carlos, thanks for subscribing. So what happens is I dumped it out to this kind of like generic format, and then I switched from Postgres to SQLite, and then said load it in. So it goes from like generic data and then into data that fits into a database. So that's the strategy here. Here's where I need to go back to the secrets. I'm going to manually inspect that production database file, JSON file, for a second. And it's a big mess of gobbledygook, but I know at least one email address that's in here, that should be in here. And I'm not seeing it, so that's not encouraging. How large is this file? What's going on? 440K, that seems in the right ballpark. Okay. What can I do about this? I'm going to try and start the server. Okay, so let me see. I was hoping to see immediately my email address. Am I just being dumb? What is my personal email address? No, I'm not being dumb. And I didn't see it in there. So, not encouraging. Not encouraging at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the local web server, and I'm going to log in. Oh, crap. I don't think I can do that. I was going to log in the admin, but I don't have the admin credentials super accessible. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to poke around on the Django shell. But again, this is like customer data. Sorry, y'all. I'm not gonna just drop other people's email addresses here. So you're not gonna see this at all. I'm gonna clear this or put on secrets. What I'm running is uv run manage.py shell plus. And what I'm going to do is all auth had email addresses. Oh, maybe that's where I should have seen this though. So I'm going to check on how many email addresses there are. Email address.objects.count. And it says there are 11. So I don't remember what attributes are on email address. So let me do a quick dir on that and look for the field. There's an email field, so that's probably it. So I'm going to do for address in email address.objects.all, and then I'm going to just print out that address email and see what I see. That is test data. That is not right. What's going on? Why are you looking at that? Oh, I get it. Okay. I was being dumb. Okay, let's bring it back. I know what I did. I think the data is in that Docker image so far, but here's where I got stupid. Remember, maybe you don't remember, maybe you're just joining in the stream and not being as, you're being, well, I don't know how you're being. Here's what I did. So I switched this so that the database configuration is no longer using a database URL stuff. So all that database URL modification that I did, it's not paying attention to that right now. So what I need to do is, well, first of all, this is what we were showing. This is just test junk data that was from our testing database. So it's reading from the SQLite file. And that's why I didn't find anything in this production DB. Our production JSON. So we're going to remove that because I know it's garbage. Not that. Remove this thing. And we're going to comment this out and turn this back on and turn this on. So that should, now when we start this thing up, I should get a different number. So let me go back into the shell plus stuff. And I think this is safe. I'm just going to do a count. I'm not going to show anybody's emails. So now I'm going to try and run uv run manage.py. And we'll say shell plus. Oh, boo. Boo. I forgot about this. We turned off psychopg because we had to. Okay, so we got to add something just temporarily, just long enough to enable us to use the Postgres driver. So my app used to have psychopg binary. Let's show this on PyPI. So there's a project called psychopg binary, pretty sure. So this is the latest version of the Postgres database driver, database adapter for Python, but pretty sure it doesn't have a wheel. You can't download and it's only a thing of wheels. It doesn't have source distribution, if I recall correctly. So I don't think that I can add this. Like if we try and go uv add psychopg binary, I think it's going to complain. No solution. So instead, what we need to do is get psychopg and compile it and just hope that we have all the right lib stuff. Oh, what a stinky, stinky thing. Can we get away? Ooh, I'm curious. Can we get away with uv add psychopg2 binary? Can we use the older one? That would be epic. Nope. Okay. It was worth a shot. I think the binary is just not built for M1. It's only built for like AMD, like actual x86 stuff. That's all I can gather because I haven't been able to get it here. So let's do this. Let's do uv add psychopg and see how far we get. What the heck? No, 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 no. Oh, that's because I typed it wrong. That's my fault. Psycho. This package. Typing on this one gets me every time. UV adds Psycho PG. Am I spelling that wrong? I am. Oh, I spelled it wrong earlier too. Maybe I got. Okay. Psycho. What is it? There's no H in there. Psycho PG binary. Yeah, John, that's what I might have to do if the binary version doesn't work. Oh, the binary version maybe does work, and I just mistyped it all those other times. Okay. Let's try the UV run and see if it's happy. Error loading. Why? Why? Didn't I just do that? Why aren't you not? Why are you? What? What did you not like? So we should see, what should we see? Let's look in the virtual environment in lib python site packages. Yes, show me all of these. I would have expected to see PS, there it is, Psycho PG binary. What's going on? Okay, let's try just the basic one. Cause the reason I didn't want to go straight to the Psycho PG one, John, was like in case I don't have the lib packages installed. But we did just install Postgres, so maybe they're just available. And this terminal, this shell does have Postgres 15 right on the path, right? We had to modify that. Shantayu, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate that. So let's try adding. And we're gonna have to like remove some stuff later. So first, let's remove Psycho PG binary. That didn't work. What's in the lock file? Okay, the lock file is now cleaned up. So let's do UV add Psycho PG just by itself. Son of a gun, I did it again. Stop spelling it like Psycho, like you would naturally want to spell it. Okay. How did it install that so fast? Why didn't it compile anything? What? What is going on, y'all? And it worked. All right. I give up. Whatever. We want to do, so last time we saw 31 emails. I thought there were more than that, which was a surprising number, but it must have been just 31 test accounts on that local database. So if this is working, we should get user objects.count and get a different number that would be from the Postgres database that's loaded. 66. Okay. This is more in the ballpark that I thought. Cool. So now let's do, and I know that this is safe to dump out this time. Actually, no, this is still customer data, and I don't know if it's going to show up something different, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that load data, or sorry, not load data, the dump data command, and we will dump data to, yeah, I see your question about there on UV, and I will explain that in just a minute. We're going to do the dump data command to production JSON. Make sure that nothing comes out of there, and I'm going to check the file size this time. And actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead, and it's 6.5 megabytes. That's much more what I expected. Let me, and I'm aware it went black. I'm trying to not show any customer data, so I will bring that back. So this is expected. I'm looking at the file because it's got customer data in it, and now I can see my email address. So that is in fact, the customer production data. So we've got that file now. Here's the commands that I ran. So to answer your question, yeah, UV, talked about it before. It's a great tool. I will drop a link to it. It's from the Astral team, the people that do Rough. So UV Astral. Oh, that's their blog. I want their tool documentation. It's a way to manage Python packages. So think of it as like a cool version of pip that is super, super, super fast. And also gives you some other benefits like having lock files and that sort of stuff. Not going to dig into that today. I do have streams specifically about this topic, and when we added it, you're welcome to go back into the playlist, check that out, and see how it's going. But yeah, that's what that is. Essentially, so if you if you are new to Python, but you are a JS Java dev, I am just going to assume that means you know some JavaScript. And if you've worked with JavaScript and have had to do any extensive amount with it, you might be familiar with NPM. So think of UV as NPM, but for Python. That would be the shorthand way of explaining what that is. Okay, John, you said you managed to view Python versions yesterday. Oh, cool. Yeah, I gotta remove some there too, John. Totally. Brew, especially after we just saw that from Brew. It was like needless updating. All right, so the other half of this, returning back to this migrate sequence that we've got. I need to go in there and we need to delete all the content type records. So let's do that, and then we will load the data into our. Oh wait, hold on. This would not be the right thing because I would be deleting it from the Postgres database. That's not what I want to delete from. So we're gonna now switch to. We're gonna switch our database URL. So we're gonna have to do two things because we're gonna like get off of using database URL and get it onto the database formatting thing the way we have it. Because I want to create this immediately in wall mode. The file that I want to copy up should be in wall mode. So that's important. So let's turn this off. And I'll leave it in case we mess something up. And we'll turn this back on. For the moment, we will change DB to production SQLite. So that's where we're going to write to, okay? So that was the kind of step one. In fact, because of this, I don't have to change database URL at all. We're changing the actual settings configuration file. So now I need to be able to migrate that file. So the load data, the dump data, load data process is useful. However, it assumes that the data that you want to load into already has the schema applied. So there's nothing up my sleeve here in terms of we have this production JSON thing, but we don't have a production SQLite 3 file. We're about to create one. So if I do uv run manage .py migrate, we're going to run all of those migrations that are for this application and set up this database to at least have the structure that we expect to load data into. The other thing about that is now that we've done that, we can go uv run manage.py shell plus to bring up our shell. And here's where we're going to have the, I think it's probably already loaded. I don't see it right off the top of my head, but let's see. Yeah, there it is. If we do this, we're going to see, if we do a count on it, you'll see that there should be content type records already associated with this. But as I mentioned, the dump file has content type records. So if we try to load this in right now, we'd get some conflict in saying like, hey, this is unique, so you can't do that. So we can say content type to prepare this, content type dot objects dot all, and then we're just going to nuke them. Like, there's no reason to keep these around, so we got rid of all of those, and it got rid of the associated permissions as well. Again, I forgot about that one, but that's another thing that's in there. So every every model you add adds a content type record, and it adds a set of associated permissions to view, read, write, that you can allow, that gives you a set of controls in the Django admin that you can set who has access to what. So we've gotten rid of all of that stuff, but we're going to bring it back when we do our actual load. So we can get out of here and take a look at the disk size for this. So if we do production SQLite 3, we see we've got this 2.1 megabyte production SQLite 3 file. In fact, I'm going to make a copy of that just for a moment, just in case we have to repeat this process if something breaks. So we'll do production SQLite 3.bak for backup. Okay, so we've got our copy, we've got our new one. I think we're ready at this point to take our production JSON file and load it in. And so following, again, I've got this as just a way to just be really comfortable with this, of what's happening. So we are going to run this load command. So uv run manage.py load data production, come on, why are you not doing that? Load data production.json. I'm not going to run this one on screen in case it dumps out some stuff that is sensitive. So let's put this on the secret screen. Assuming it comes back clean, I'll give you the bill of health. No. Why? Well, it gave me a constraint failure. Why did it do that? Why did it create an account user ID? Ooh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Let's bring this back. So could not load accounts user. So there are users in here? That's weird. That's super weird. What's going on? So all right. Yeah, I'm working on a journaling software that I have. It is a journal that works via email. So it will send you, if you're a user, it will send you a prompt every day. And it will take, the idea is if you continue to journal with this service, you will build up a catalog of previous journal entries naturally. And the prompt email that it sends to a user every day takes one of your random previous entries, then sends it to you. And you update your journal simply by replying to that email. So it's a pattern, it's a habit forming pattern that I use myself to help me like record regular activity. But the benefit, the reason I keep using it is I get to get reminded of my past, of like, what did I do? And I've been using this app, or a variant of this app, for 10 years. So it's pretty cool to see like, oh, 7 years ago, I forgot I was doing this whole project. Like, it's crazy. So that's what the project is. Manage.py shell plus. There should be no users in there. So what the heck is going on? Yeah, and it's free for a couple weeks. So once this app is up and online, you're welcome to do that. It is at journeyinbox.com, and that if you go there right now, it is turned off because I'm trying to do this migration currently. But that's the URL. Oh, thanks. Good note there, John. Appreciate that. So it's saying there. No, okay. What's going on here? Could not load accounts user PK1. Oh, I know what that is. Oh, junk. Shoot. Okay, we have to make a code change to make this work. So, yeah. Let's check it out. Ready? So if we go to the accounts models section, this is where we define the account that is associated with this every user. And an account is created right here. Forgot about this. So there's probably a couple of these we need to update. So we create an account record after each user is created. And the load data process is just like issuing, create, do that stuff. So what was happening, what we saw fail And I'm glad I made a backup copy because this I don't trust the one we just did. Whoops, did I just close that? Hope not. I might have. Crap. Okay, well, I'm gonna delete this one that we just did because I think it's now busted. And we will do copy of the production backup to, this is why you back up stuff. Production SQLite 3. Okay. And we'll do another check on the disk size, and it should be, wasn't it 2.1? Did we not migrate? It was definitely 2.1 before. What happened? Oh, phooey. All right, sorry. I'll get, I promise I know what happened. Let's try running manage migrate and see if it's, what's going on. That's weird. See if it's not, doesn't have a migration. Oh, so it ran them all. UVA run manage shell. Did it not delete those content types? Did I do that after? Maybe that's what's it. Content type objects dot count, or oh, you know what it was? I did, this is the right one. I know it's right. My battery must be getting low on this keyboard because the signals are not getting there as fast as they should be. I did the manage. I checked the disk size. That's when it's 2.1. Then I did shell plus and deleted the content type, and it deleted a bunch of stuff, and got smaller. So that's probably the right file. I guess just a sanity check because now I'm being crazy. Content type dot objects dot count. This should be 0. 73. Why? No. Good thing we checked. Delete. Okay. So I don't want to do this again. So we're going to do, we will check. I don't know. Yeah, I'm confused about the disk size change, but whatever. We're going to check and make this and do, there we go. Okay. So we now have we're back to this like base version of the production database that does not have any data loaded in yet, aside from the migrations. But what I messed up is that these post save, do I have more than one of them? I think I just have this one. Whoa, that was production JSON. Why are you showing that? Don't do that. Post save is, it needs to be modified. And now I'm going to have to poke around on a couple files because apparently I can't do a file search because it's showing that production JSON file, which I don't want to show. So let's take a quick peek through all of our models files and make sure that none of them are showing any other post saves that we have to worry about. So there's nothing in the entries app. The payments is not an app. Sentry isn't going to have them. Accounts had one. That's what we're looking at. And then core has no models. Okay, great. Cool. So here's the problem. The problem is this right here. We are saying create the account if the instance was created. But there's another flag, another parameter that comes in here. And I had to update this app to handle this as well. And see, it's this one right here. There's a raw attribute that is populated when you're using load and dump. So it's not very common at all. I frankly would not expect anybody to use this. But this is the line we need to take out of here and drop in here like this, and then put in that argument or that parameter. So now what this is saying is don't create an account if you're in this raw mode. So the loading data process is going to be in a raw mode, and it will skip the account creation here. So that will avoid the unique constraint, because what was happening is user 1 got created. User 1 is probably one of my accounts, or I had some test accounts I think initially. I don't know. Might be whatever. Doesn't matter. User 1 got created, and then immediately this post save trigger happened, and there is an account got created and associated with that. And then the JSON processing continued, and there was a line that says create an account for user 1. And that's where it blows up, because we got now two accounts that are both trying to be associated with user 1, but there's a uniqueness constraint there because it's a foreign key, and it says I can't do that. So this change right here should now fix the problem. So if we go over here and we now do uv run manage.py load data production JSON, this should work as we desire. And I probably should put that on secrets. Good. Just there's nothing secret sensitive, but there was, forgot that there was output that could have dumped out that I wasn't sure about. So we got 7,233 objects, different records from the database. I will put this back on secrets for a moment. I want to inspect and just make sure that the users that are there are the ones that I expect to be there. So I'm going to do uv run manage.py shell plus, and then I'm going to do for user in user.objects.all, and I will print out user.email. Definitely can't show this one because this is going to be like every one of my actual customers' real emails. That would be bad. But yep, it's the real deal. It's real testing. It's real, sorry, not testing. It's real data. Time to clear that out and make sure. In fact, I'm going to close this terminal because I don't want to accidentally go back to it. So give me a second. Getting rid of that terminal altogether. To clear out the history. You can't see anything. And oops. Nope. Okay. All right, cool. So now, if we look at this, we now have this production SQLite free file. You can see that it's 8 megabytes. So this makes sense because we had our empty database was 1.6 megabytes of just SQLite structure. And then we had 6.5 megabytes of JSON data. So it's sensible that it got to about 8 megabytes. Probably some compression stuff going on there. There's different things that make it so that wouldn't add perfectly, and I wouldn't expect it to. But that is now our database file. Okay, I think we're nearly there. So next step is to come in here, and we want to stop the application. So we want to make sure that nothing is writing to the real database that's out there. So let's do this. We're going to do commall app stop. And that should log in and turn off our containers, and then so like the site's not going to be accessible anymore. It'll take a second. Everything should be off. Now, this is stopped. Now we want to do a secure copy of the production database to the var db directory. So that's going to look like SCP of production SQLite 3 to it's going to be the root user at the IP address. That's 178 something. 178.128.132.8, and then we give it a colon, and then we give it the path of where we want to store it. So that will be var db, and I don't want to conflict with any other name that might be there right now. So we want, what do we want? Actually, you know what? Let's look before we leap here. So let's do Kamal SSH, go into the box, make sure we don't conflict with any existing name. So let's do an ls on var db and see what is there. So there's a db.SQLite 3 there. So let's leave that alone for a moment. And while we're here, we can do a docker ps and see that only Kamal proxy is running. Our actual application is totally stopped. So it's not going to, Kamal proxy, if you hit the IP address, you might get a 500 or some kind saying service unavailable or something like that. Nothing's running. So Nito, thanks. Appreciate the comment there. Hopefully this is entertaining and educational. So we're going to take this and go production SQLite 3 to the new location. So it's going to SCP that up. It's going to take a little bit because I have a slow connection here. It's got to go 8 megabytes because my connection is fighting with my upload stuff for the actual stream. Thankfully, it gets a chunk there. Chunk. Okay, cool. So we're going to go back over to Kamal SSH. Going to go into the var db directory. It is vitally important because if we did this, if we deployed right now, it would break. And the reason is we copied it over as root. If we look at this, you can see the difference between these things is that this is the database file. Actually, let's do that. Will this work? Yeah. So check it out. This size, db SQLite 3, it kind of matches what we saw locally on the Mac, right? It was 1.6. So you can tell this is basically an empty database except for the migrations running. And it might be a little bit bigger because it probably has that content type stuff in it. We don't need that though. I'm going to nuke that file. And I think that should be a safe thing to do. At this point, aside from this one file, I'm not going to remove anything until I have total validation that all the stuff has been copied over. So we're going to remove that file, and then we will move production SQLite 3 to be db SQLite 3. Okay. Still, we have not changed the ownership. So we need to do, I think I even put out the command. Nope, I didn't. So it's a chown command, change owner. So chown, and we want it, well, let's confirm. It's still root owned, right? See root, right? If you're not used to reading these, yeah, here's a good lesson for you, I suppose. The way that files get read is, here's a set of permissions. I'm not going to explain Linux permissions right now. And then here is the user that owns this file and is allowed to do stuff with it. And here is the group that owns this file. The user and the group happen to be the same name here. Same thing with app. This is an app user. That's an app group. So when we change the owner, what we're actually going to do is change the owner for both the app and group settings. So it's going to be app:app. That's user:group. And then we do db.SQLite 3. We verified that we did that. And so now we see app. So we have properly, because we are currently the root user, we're allowed to change whatever we want. Any ownership, we have supreme power and authority with what we're logged in as. So we've changed this so that the actual application container, when it starts up, it only has access to see and write to app stuff, and it will now have permission to modify this. So that'll be pretty important. Okay, so we can get out of here. We've now successfully put the database in place. We've changed it. Let's boot the application. And as I'm thinking about this, hold on. Let's do let's see, journal account models. We want to add that to the stage. We want to add, do we want to, what's in PyProject? I think that's, see, PG. We don't want that. No, don't want that. Yeah, I think we're safe to do the boot process. So Kamal app boot. And this is going to come back in there. And it's going to restart the containers that exist. We're not deploying new containers. There's already images available to that machine and just saying, okay, let's just get them going again. Here's where it's connecting with the staging name, and that it's trying to do TLS, so it's going to figure that out. So I, in theory, could be able to like log in with my regular account and see this working. That is actually, maybe that's actually what I'll do. I'll do a test where I go to the staging site. We can probably do part of this. So we're going to go to, we're at staging, and I can go to login. This should work. Okay, now I'm here. I'm going to log in. So I got to put my stuff in secret mode so you don't see all my username, password stuff there. And then log in and make sure that if this login works, it will confirm that the database that we loaded as is the right one, is the one that has all the existing accounts on it. So everything will have moved over successfully. So I'm going to go secrets mode, and I'm going to look for Journey inbox here. What? Give it sugar. That's not the email address. Okay, I think it's to. I think I saw this in database. Hold on, sorry y'all. I'm gonna go check on the user account really quickly. I still have this file locally, so we can still take advantage of that. So I'm gonna do run, and I know I can't show this, so I'm talking you through it. Apologies for that. And I'm gonna go do probably. I'm probably the, well, I don't want to speak. I want to be a little cagey about what information I'm stating right now. So apologies if you're like, what is he talking about or not talking about? Doing that on purpose. Okay. I'm trying, the problem is my 1Password stuff had a username and not an actual email address for Journey inbox, so I had to go look up what the email address was. So now I'm going to try and log in, and it says I'm successfully logged in. Cool. And I think I can show this page without any problem. So here we go. You would not see this page if you were not logged in. But I did see a message that clearly said like you were logged in, and I used my 1Password credentials to do that. So I know that it worked. That's really encouraging. And well, so the next step, where are we at? We have done all this. I verified that customer. That's basically, I am the customer this time. So that was the verification. I need to go back in and I need to change now. The final bit of this will be, can we make sure that Journey Inbox no longer shows the offline for maintenance stuff from Heroku? That would like finally sever the remaining tie to Heroku. So I got to go back to Cloudflare, change a DNS record, and then we got to wait for a minute and wait to make sure that it actually propagates properly. So what's next? Unfortunately, this part of the setting process, I have to, again, I'm doing a lot of secret stuff today. Apologies, I can't really avoid that. I'm going to dashboard, dot Cloudflare. No, was that it? I'll just start typing Cloudflare. Cloudflare. Oh, it was dash.cloudflare.com, which I was logged into earlier tonight. Going to the journeyinbox.com, and that's one first thing that I could click on. And then on the right side, there's a link that says DNS records. Okay, so I need, I can add an A record. So the way that I want to do this is add an A record for my root domain. So I will click add record, and I'm going to say it's an A record, and I use the @ sign for root. And then I'm going to point it at the IP address that we've been using over and over this evening, 178.128.132.8. I'm going to turn off the proxy status. Still, maybe one day I'll figure that out, but for now, that's not what I'm doing. So I've got this A record now. I'm going to save that. Okay, so here's where the problem came in. I got an error message that said, hey, wait a minute, you can't do that. You have a CNAME record that is pointed at a Heroku content name. So I've got to delete that first. So I'm going to delete the existing, actually before I do that, I'm going to like back up the name in case I have to restore it for some stupid reason. So I'm just going to highlight the existing Heroku name, and I'm going to paste it just like a very temporary spot. Nothing secret about it. I just don't want to have to forget it if I have to go back and try it again. So let's do this. I've got it selected, and I'm deleting the CNAME record for the root of this domain name. It asks me to confirm and type in delete to make sure I want to delete it. And then now I can actually add the A record that I desire. So the A record with the @ sign value for the root and the IP address that we've discussed. I'm saving that, and now it is added. The other bit about this that I have to do, I'm going to wait for this to propagate. I'm going to actually close. I need to come back to this later. So I'm just not going to show it and do my best. Hopefully I don't click that tab by accident. So I'm going to bring this back. We don't have this is not done yet because we're missing one vital component. Here's this value. Actually, let me just paste this here, I guess. And then, so I've got that in case I need to restore that for some stupid reason. So the next thing that we need to do is change this. Right now, we saw earlier when we did the actual restart of the application that it had this host setting that's pointing at staging. And so the Kamal proxy is expecting that. It's not expecting Journey Inbox, it's expecting staging that Journey Inbox. I'm going to delete this, and that'll be our change. So we got to be careful with what we're committing here. We want, what do we want? We just want the config directory change. Now if we look at that, we've updated the host, and we fixed that hook so that if we ever had to load something again, we've now got that problem, that post save resolved. So we'll commit this. I don't know why pre-commit is deciding to do some stuff there, but whatever. And we'll say update hostname. Okay. At this point, I still don't want to delete anything yet because I'm not confident of this. But we are now at a spot where we can do finally the main flow that we're going to do this for this application. Most of the time, we're not running Kamal setup. That was really like a one-time thing that we had to run multiple times until we fixed it. But the normal thing that we do is run Kamal deploy. And Kamal deploy is going to do basically what we saw in the setup process, but just be a little bit more narrowly focused on build the image, push the image, go to the server, and then deploy the new image. So that's what's going on here. It logged in to the registry. It said, hey, you got a bunch of local files. We're not doing anything with these because it's not important, because we're checking stuff out over here, not anywhere close to what you've got. So if this was a problem, that's your problem to go fix. And then it does the actual Docker build. It is uploading those. It's already done. Didn't have much to do. It's going in, and now this time, because there's already something, there's already an app running. So this is something different from the setup. First time you set up, there's nothing that's running, right? So it has to set up Kamal proxy. It has to set up the container and gets them running. It gets everything going, and then it's all running and happy. But here's a cool thing about Kamal. What happens when you want to do a new version? You've already got a version running. So what's going on? What's going on is you build the new version. And so if you have like your existing setup is like, here's the proxy and here's the app, and they're talking to each other like this, then what kind of happens is during the Kamal process, what goes on is the other app, I'm just going to move my hand up, just shift it out of the way. A new image is downloaded right here. So you get app and app, old version, new version. And then Kamal proxy says, okay, I can tell you've got a new version. I'm going to test it. I'm going to poke it and see, is this working right? And if it is, okay, it's healthy. All right, now I'm going to take traffic from the old version and I'm going to drain it, wait for everything to stop, and I'm going to start connecting there. So it's going to like shift from one to the other. And so it does that. And once it's finally done, then it says, hey, I'm not doing anything more. See you later. So that's the process of what Kamal does. And because it does it that way, it's called a zero downtime deploy. There's nothing that, there was no time period where you weren't able to connect to one version of the application, which is pretty awesome. So that's what happened here. If we follow through, we can see, I'm looking for validation that it's now using the new hostname stuff. So yep, there it is. Host journeyinbox.com with TLS. So it should be functional there. Everything got finished. It finished the whole thing in 71 seconds. So now let's do a dig first. So let's do dig on journeyinbox.com. This will validate if DNS is properly updated. So journeyinbox.com should point at this point to the IP address we've been talking about. And it does. It's no longer, had we looked at this even 10 minutes ago, this would have said journeyinbox.com is actually a CNAME record that points to this long thing from Heroku. But instead it's pointing at our new IP address. So if that's all true, it's the browser. The problem is we did go here with the browser, so there's a chance that the browser has cached something, but we'll find out. So if it resolves, hey, look at that. So it resolved to the new domain and is all happy here. So I think, and notice we're not logged in because I logged in the staging site. The staging site, I don't think will work anymore. Not important though. I don't really care. What I'm going to do, and this is we're at the end of the stream at this point. I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup here, but I'll talk through it. What I'm gonna do to follow through on this is like we finish this stuff. I guess I need to do maybe one final test, and that test, I gotta be able to make sure that the webhook works. Okay. So how am I going to do this? I've got a bunch of prompts in here for days that I've not written in my journal yet. So I don't write in my journal every day. I get these start to stack up and then I kind of write periodically. I've got one for Tuesday. So what I could do is I can come in here and I can do a journal entry And even if it's not like a real journal entry, I can go back and fix it in my database later. But what I want to validate, the thing I'm trying to validate is the webhook. So SendGrid is calling journeyinbox.com and sending it data. And I want to make sure that that connection is still working. So I think what I'm going to try and do is reply to this. Let's see, this is a temporary journal entry. And I'm going to reply to that. Now the downside is that means that this entry will forever be like the one that I can't recover potentially. If something catastrophic happened, it'd be like the one that would not be in my email because I might edit it directly on the site. That's maybe okay, or maybe I can try replying to that again, and I think it will. I think I set it up to that it will update. I'm going to check that out. So while I've been chatting, so that's sent. So it's going to go. The path is going from I use Gmail. You could tell from my app probably if you look closely. So it's going to go to Google. Google's going to send it. Google receives the data. They will send it on along to the sender, to the reply address, and that will, actually, is that true? Yeah, because I did it from my client. So the client is going to send it, and the reply address is Google's going to figure out how to do the SMTP connection to connect to whatever the reply to address was. That reply to address is going to resolve to a place in SendGrid, and SendGrid is going to receive that email, see like, okay, Matt sent an email. My job is to, for every email I get to this address, I'm supposed to call a webhook. That webhook is defined in my application at journeyinbox.com, and that's where the data gets sent and gets processed and stored with my journal. So to finish this off, I should be able to go to my actual admin page, which I might need to like go get a different machine because I've got the admin page kind of on I've got a token in the name that I don't even want like on this browser because I don't want to accidentally show where the admin is. So I'm going to step out for a minute. I'm going to go to a different computer and validate that things are working, and then we'll talk about next steps because we're nearly there. So hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry, that takes longer than I would like. It's way at the top of my house. Couple floors. A little bit of exercise. All right, so I am now getting on my laptop where I have access to the actual admin site. And I need to log in. So give me 1 second. Okay. I think. All right, cool. I have a proof over here that that I can't share, but it does say this is the temporary journal entry. It caught it. So proof positive that Journey Inbox is now successfully migrated off of Heroku and is now writing data to the new location at the new site. So what does that mean? What does that mean for this project? I think it means that I can finally shut down Heroku. I will give a little bit of space for this to make sure that it's still working the way I expect it to. So I'm not going to shut down Heroku right away, just in case something weird and catastrophic happens. It had nothing happen like that on School Desk, so it was just like I gave myself some kind of grace period and then shut it down. But this is now done, which is awesome. Which means like next time we can move on to other things. I was working on this project. I wanted to focus on here before I got too far off, because I migrated my other project and I now had 2 different clouds that I was having to deal with for both my projects, and I don't know, that was just not something I wanted to continue with. So I'm not sure if our next project will actually switch back to the homeschool project or work on journal stuff. I was thinking about improving sign-up processes on the homeschool app. I've noticed a bunch of signups, and I think one of the things we walked through many months ago at this point is there was some weirdness with the sign-up flow on the homeschool application. It was dumping you into the wrong place, and I wasn't pleased with that. And there's ways to like simplify login that I'm looking into or interested in doing. So I think we might shift to that for the next project. But we bounce around between these 2 applications that are serving different purposes. The homeschool application is serving my family in a different way. This journaling app is serving me. So if you want to support me, you're welcome to. So I've got, you can join, I guess, to the comment from earlier. Yeah, you were talked about how you thought this was interesting. You can go to Journey Inbox. You can sign up and try this out. If you like it, you can pay for it as a subscription and get it going. There is something. So I noticed I had a customer who might be still on this channel, that signed up and was paying for it and then canceled it. And then I realized, like, actually, I don't have anything to clean up canceled accounts. So I will maybe prioritize that as the next thing we do. It would be valuable to actually not have me manually have to pay attention to, like, oh wait, somebody canceled who was a real paying customer. That will be an interesting flow that is like not completed in this app, which is kind of silly. So that is something that we need to take care of. So you can try this out, or there are tons of other ways that you can help support me or just help yourself. One is mattlehman.com, and I have a book. So if you're wanting to get into web development, and we covered a lot more like cloud migration stuff today. Normally I cover specifics of Django, but I've got an entire book, and you're welcome to buy a copy here. That's not the link I meant to click on. Sorry, I meant to go read. You can read this online totally for free if you would like. All of this is online, so if cost is a factor for you, I try to give everybody a chance. I just want people to share. However, if you would like to support me, you're welcome to do that. The easiest thing you can do today, though, is you can give me a thumbs up on this video. That will help people find the content and find out how they could do a migration. Hopefully along the way you learn something about how you do this safely. It's like you turn off access, you be very careful about the data you're trying to copy. What was vital for me in this process, did I already close it? I think I might have. That set of this sequence of steps. So if you're doing something that is essentially nerve-wracking, like I just did a cloud migration live on a stream. Part of the reason I was comfortable doing that is I had a checklist. So checklists can be really valuable tools to utilize when you are doing something that needs to happen in a certain order, or else you will screw things up. So use checklists. I'll get off my soapbox now. So thanks for joining in. Hopefully, I think next time, I don't know. It'll be the 26th. I'll see how I'm feeling. If not, then we'll catch you in a different week. And hope you all have a good holiday. Happy New Year if it's a while before I get out to this again. And I'll see you next time. Take care.